morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to this special makeup episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Today, Thursday, the 21st day of March, 2024. Welcome, one and all. I know we might have caught some people by surprise that we have classes on a Thursday. Having had the regular session yesterday, we did inform you that we're going to do a makeup session, and we are making up for what we missed on Monday last due to inadvertence. We were not able to be on the program, so we promised to do a makeup, and we are now delivering on that promise in that area to give you classes today, Thursday, the 24th of March, 2024. So welcome, one and all. Share the live today, even more than other days. It is important that you share the lives because some of your fellow students might have missed. I think some of them might have signed off early yesterday and might have missed the announcement that we're going to have a program today. So share the live, please share. Today more than ever, you should share to let them know that we are on. And we have got to share too with the people who would normally monitor. Now people out of offices, government offices, will normally monitor this program, so they report on what is discussed. And then we can see a lot of positive because many of the things we have brought to attention, many things that we have discussed have been implemented. They have been implemented. So let's give them the opportunity to come and to watch the live and to report as they are required to do. Again, we always say this is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's celebrate being in the land of the living because it's a privilege to have woken up this morning to see a new day. Many persons would not have been this fortunate. So share the live, let them know that Speaking Out is on. I see the numbers are mounted. The numbers at the schoolyard did not measure up to the record number of yesterday. We did not expect that, but we must say again, I am happy to see the number of students who camped out in the schoolyard waiting for the program to go live. And of course, as soon as we went live, here we are, people rushing in on Facebook. Some are still joining on YouTube to hear what we have to say. We have a lot to say this morning, and that is the reason for the makeup, because we say that the fact that we missed Monday, there are so many things piling up. Every day things are piling up. So when we finish today, by the time we get to the next program, other things are going to be piling up, and we feel compelled to bring those things to your attention. Some can wait. Some are on the back burner and have been waiting for a few weeks now, but they're going to come to light eventually. So share the live and let them know that we are here. My colleague, Mr. Conway, is already in the studio waiting to go, rearing to go. And let me say this. We on Monday, yesterday, we had some technical issues. The internet seems to have been unstable, and therefore we had some intermittent buffering and all of that. But we persevered, and we were able to bring you the information. We're hopeful that we have a better quality today. And let me not quote as I speak, because as soon as you talk, then you're going to hear we start to get problems again. So yes. Share the live. We're going to do the roll call. And hopefully by the time we finish the roll call, many persons are going to be here. Now, before we go to the roll call, let me tell you again, we want some thumbs up, man. We want thumbs up. Some people have been doing it in the comments. Not in the comments. Go and give us a thumbs up on the page. Show your appreciation. Show some love. Show some heart. Show some love for us. I told you we do the research. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of patience to do the research because we want to bring you credible, valid information. We just don't want to come and do like those other people, just start because they have a hole in their mouth that they call mouth, hole in the head that they call mouth. No. We do the research and we bring you valuable and credible information. So yeah, share. And let me do the roll call. Give me the thumbs up. And we're going to do the roll call and we are going to move straight into it. This program was scheduled about 6 o'clock this morning. And as soon as we scheduled, the first person was Brian. Brian came in. Congratulations, Brian. I think Brian is from New Jersey, came in very early. And another namesake, Coatley came in shortly after 6:05. Then we had Pauline Carton out of New York was here. He said special Thursday classes. Then we have Wayne out of the UK in class, followed by Floyd, followed by the one and only Francis Kidd from Melanie Damashana on the east coast of Demerara. Then we have Gordon is here. Tessa I from Orlando, Florida is in the house. Another person from the UK, Winston, is in the house. Welcome. Anthony Bradshaw, 11032 from Peters Hall and the East Bank is in the house. Welcome. Denise from Florida is here with us. Winston is here, and Winston is from California. Winston is from California. Winston is in the house. Patricia G is here. Patricia is from New Jersey. My squad mate, 9556 Taylor, is in the house. He is from Canada. He said, what? Good. Justice, will justice ever matters? We will ask. That's a good question. Then we have George from the East Coast, Belfast, to be precise. Malcolm is in the house. Melissa is here. Jakey, welcome, Jakey, welcome. Then we have Family Music is here. Earl, then Felissa, followed by Barbara, followed by BX, the one and only BX from New Jersey, followed by Princess Earl from Lamar Springs. She's in the house. Queenie, formerly from West Coast Barbies, now viewing from New York. Then we have Sherwin. We have Clifton from Paris. Wayne, Carlisle, Lynette again, another person from the UK. Lynette is here from the UK. Welcome, welcome. Isabella, Dexter, Ronald, Carville, Malvok, or I used to call Malvok. I think Malvok is the man I call he Finders. Malvok, welcome. Debbie is in the house. Tallulah, and he is watching from Brooklyn, he says. And he says freezing in Canarsie, Brooklyn, where he is. Freezing. Then we have John is in the house. Sean from New York. Joseph. Everett from Texas. TK, Terrence King from California. Then Jacko from Georgia. The one and only Baledi from the hills. The hills of Linden. He's from the hills of Linden. Emerson. Then we have, we say freezing. Everyone say freezing, Canarsie, Brooklyn. Freezing. Lucius is here. Doreen, my squad mate, W349, all the way from Canada is in the house. Followed by immediately by another squad mate. He is from Arizona, 9414. Carl. Then we have Wilfred is here. Cecile is also in the house. Danny, and Danny got well. We understood some time ago that you want so well. Hope you are feeling much better now, my brother. Ezzy is here. Kerry is in the house. Rhonda is here. Dav is very much here. David in the house. Camille, Karen, Ulrich from Crane is in the house. Samuel. Then we have Clay. We have the lady from the, across the river, west side, Pamela is here. Floyd, as we know him as Bangalang, is in the house. Grace is here. Welcome. Michael said he is waiting. Chilo is in the house. Then after Chilo, we have Sheena. Then followed by Audrey. Orin is another person from the UK. Followed by Bert. Followed by Denise. Ovid George, he says his number was 0937. Followed by Colin. And Colin is from Queens. Another squad mate of mine, W351. Sheila Hamilton is in the house. Sandra is here. Marvin. Monica is in the house. Vibart from the East Bank is here. Colin in the house. Those are the persons who are here before in the schoolyard. And as we said to you, we call these roll call to let you see for yourself because Colin, the last person there, came in at 10:57. And when we went live, the first person on Facebook was Raul, followed by Winston. Then we had Gaylord, Bonita. Then we had Edward. and followed by Carlton, and many, many, many others. The numbers are mounting rapidly. As I say, share the life, because again, I say many people would have been caught by a program being scheduled for today. And it goes to show again, that is why I have to emphasize, go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Go to Facebook, like the page, and whenever we schedule a program, you're going to get the notification. So this is not, today is not a regular day. You would have gotten the notification this morning at 6 o'clock that a program is scheduled. I also sent out the notification sometime yesterday afternoon, and you would have gotten that if you had subscribed to the channel. So please do so now. Please go subscribe. These things are for your own benefit. Yes, and I'm still waiting for my thumbs up. They're coming in, but I'm still waiting for the thumbs up. Still waiting for the thumbs up. Now that we have had the roll call, let me do the announcement. I think we have, one or two. Let me see what I have to announce. Oh, let me announce, it's a pre-board day greeting, advanced board day greetings to Assistant Commissioner Royston Andrews Jr. He celebrates a board day tomorrow, the 22nd of March. Royston, I want to wish you all the best on your board day and all the best going forward. I know, we know that you have had some trials and tribulations, trumped up charge of conspiracy to commit fraud along with us, myself, Mr. Conway, and other retired officers, misconduct in public office. Those matters were dismissed since December 27th last. I know the DPP has given notice. She gave notice of appeal. I don't know if she has appealed. I haven't been so advised. So, Royston, you got to follow up. You got to follow up. It's very sad to see how they're destroying a young man's career. Young, brilliant officer, one of the more qualified officers now in the system. I mean, he's interdicted, so he's still a serving police officer. And that is what they're doing to this person. In the meanwhile, they have lots of incompetent people they have there as commanders, not half as qualified as Royston is, but you know how the system goes. That is how the system goes. He's even more qualified than the man who sits in the chair. But they're so vindictive. They are so vindictive. But my brother, you enjoy your board day, and the people normally say, God will provide for you. He provides for the birds and the bees, and he's going to provide for you. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to move on. CC, my brother, good morning.
Good morning. Happy to be in the land of the living. And may God continue to bless him.
All right. Yes. Let me move on right away. Let me move on. The first thing we want to do is a follow-up from on this killing of the security guard. For those people, most of you would have been here, but I like to, as teachers, we know that when you're starting a new day, a new session, it is always good that you recap what transpired before, so you bring people up to date. We spoke yesterday about this killing of the young security guard, living in Liverpool, by one of our colleagues with whom, let me put it correctly. The person who died was the sister of the assailant, she's a twin sister. The story is that the assailant, who is also a security guard, went by the home of this girl. They claimed that he saw her sitting in the car outside with someone else. He became enraged. He went to a work site, a Chinese supermarket, where one of his colleagues was working armed with an AR rifle. He told the colleague that a supervisor had sent him to collect the rifle from the colleague. The colleague made attempts, that's how the report goes. The colleague made attempts to contact the supervisor. Having failed to do so, he handed over this AR rifle with 8 rounds to this other colleague. Imagine that. He handed over. Now, this man went to the residence where his ex-girlfriend, I would say, lives. He went into the house, saw the sister in the house. The sister then ran out of the house. They claimed that she was perhaps going to warn her sister that he was there on, and he fired, he shot her and killed her. He shot her and killed her. At that stage, he left that residence, the murder scene, and he went to another Chinese establishment where another colleague was working. And he told the colleague that he wanted the colleague to assist him in clearing this AR rifle because apparently it had a wrong stock. A wrong was stuck. So he told the colleague he wanted him to assist him to clear it. The colleague went out of the supermarket, and then he said he heard a loud explosion. When he went outside, he left his weapon, the AR-15 that he was armed with. He left it there with this guy. He went outside, he heard a loud explosion, and when he went back in, he saw him lying there with what appeared to be blood, they claim, nearby. Slackness, so that is what transpired. That is what transpired then. We haven't had an update. I have not seen an update on the condition of the assailant because initially they said he was critical in hospital. We haven't heard any update from that. But it goes to show the slackness. This is a man who can turn up to a work site, tells a colleague that a supervisor sent him to collect the weapon. And I remarked on it yesterday. I said, even if that were so, the protocol should not allow for somebody to just hand over because a supervisor on the telephone tells him, all right, it's okay to hand over. Should not be. Should not be. So it shows that this whole thing is slack. And we have said, we have emphasized, it's not only this company. And my information is that this security company, the name, let me get it here, Onkar Prasad Security, ONKAR Prasad Security. They are the ones who we understand are the owners of these firearms and the employer of the guy. What is slackness? What system do they have in place? Now, let me say this. And this is for the people who are going to monitor and report. We said yesterday what should happen then according to the relevant law, that's the Private Security Act. This company should be sanctioned. They suspended, their license should be suspended, perhaps eventually revoked altogether. All the firearms should be seized and a proper audit done. We understand that the Minister of Home Affairs has ordered that all the firearms from that particular company, Onkar Prasad Security, be seized and that a complete audit be done. But let me tell you the proper process. I told you all as a senior commander for a number of years, I have experience in this thing. I did prepare a paper when I left the force, I outlining the procedure should be followed when a firearm license is to be revoked. Now, the first thing you do, you seize the firearm. In this case, you seize all the firearms and ammunition belonging to that company. But before you go to seize, you should go to wherever the records are stored, I believe police headquarters, to see how many firearms were issued to this company. They must have a record of the number of firearms and the serial number of these firearms. So you get an inventory. These are the type of firearms that were issued to them. These are the serial numbers, and you go and check with the weapons that are the firearm that you're going to seize against the inventory with the serial number. That is very, very important. That is to avoid recycling. That is to avoid recycling. Ammunition too, you seize the ammunition. Now, once you seize the firearms, whatever type of firearms that were issued, whether it's automatic, whether it's AR, semi-automatic, whether it's pistol, semi-automatic, whether it's revolver, whether it's shotgun, you seize all of those firearms. After seizing the firearm, and listen to this carefully, I know that has worked well, so I'm guiding, free of charge. You should write to the person, the principal of this company, outlining whatever they would have done wrong. Bring to their attention whatever the violation was. In this case, you might want to say, well, they allowed a man to collect firearm and whatever you want to say. But you have to tell them the reason. And after telling them the reason, you have to ask them to show cause why the license should not be suspended or revoked. Critical, this is critical, natural justice. You can't move it like a runaway train and say, your license suspend, or your license revoked, that is going to open itself to legal challenge. You have to make sure, remember, you have the firearms. You seize the firearm. You have a right to do so. Nobody can tell you can't seize them. You're doing an investigation. You have a right to seize all the firearms. But if you're going to go to the next step, to revoke or to suspend, you have to ask them. First of all, you have to tell them the reason why in writing. You have to tell them the reason why in writing. And then you have to give them the opportunity to show cause why it should not be suspended or revoked. And as I've said, I wrote a paper on this thing following Bobby's B division. There was an incident. I like to share this experience because I know people in command positions, senior government functionaries, and all these people listen, and many of them learn. Some of them are beyond learning. But a gentleman was an ex-police. I can't remember his name now. Indian man. He was a licensed owner of a pistol and a rifle. Two rifles, I think it was. He went by his sweet woman at number 2, Kanji there, and he spent the night. He had his pistol with him. The rifle was lodged at Central Police Station in New Amsterdam. He had the pistol, having spent the night. When he got up in the morning to beat out, he couldn't find the pistol. The pistol was stolen while he was there. So we did an investigation, sent the file to the DPP, and of course, we hadn't the experience then. So then tell you when we talk now, when I speak about experience, the DPP recommended no charge against him. But then she also recommended, the same DPP, recommended that both firearm license should be revoked. That is the one that was stolen, which is automatic. Once you issue the license and the firearm is lost, firearm is stolen, is automatic revocation of the license. You can't have a license for a weapon that does not exist in your possession. So that is automatic. But we were also advised to revoke the license for the rifle, which at the time was lodged with the police at Central. And we proceeded to do that. Now, the man challenged the revocation, and it went to the High Court. And of course, the High Court in New Amsterdam agreed that we had no just cause to revoke this license for the rifle. And I remember very well, after this was done, the judge with whom I had a commander-judge relationship, I don't know if those things exist now, where you can go and discuss matters, not to matters to undermine what is going on, but to gain some experience how matters should be dealt with. And having gone to the judge, he explained, he said, you have no justification. Then he tell me that this is how, he said, you have to ask the person to show cause. You can't just go and revoke, and that's what we did. We never asked the person to show cause why the firearm license should be revoked, because that was the practice then. You just revoke, and the man challenged it in court, and we were advised. Though following that experience, I prepared this document, which we followed religiously thereafter. And I could tell you, while I was there and other shared up with other commanders, we never had the cause to wear any court rule against us in terms of how we go about revoking firearm license. We make sure we ask the person to show cause. That is natural justice. We ask them to show cause, and then if they do, well, they can show cause. Some of them will respond, get a lawyer to write, and then when you're ready to suspend or when you're ready to revoke, you have to tell them the reason why. When the time comes for you to suspend under whatever section of the law, you have to say the reason why that is being done. So I hope that they understand what the process is, because a little bird told me that following the program yesterday, when we make comments about the same issue, people start the phone call to ring and people start to run helter-skelter, trying to initiate the process to revoke the license from this security provider. And I understand the phones, man, all over the place, phone ringing, begging, don't do that, they're all over the place. So we don't know what has happened. But I'm saying to you that this is the correct procedure. And I know the operatives that we have there, they're going to jump wild. They're going to say revoke because of the pressure. And you have to go through a process. In recapping, you have to seize the firearms, check the firearms seized against the register you have with firearms registered to the company. ask in writing, ask the person to show cause, having outlined what the violation is or the violations are, ask the person to show cause. When that is done, then they respond to you. And here this part, this is what one of my good late lawyer friend, Peter Britton, the late great Peter Britton, advised me as a commander. He said, once you ask them to show cause, I did inquire of him, how long should you wait before you initiate or before you revoke? He said, young slow, the longer they wait, the better. He said, because if you ask them to show cause and then you move immediately thereafter to revoke, you show that you had a predetermination. You predetermined that was a process you were going to effect. So he tell me, the longer you take is better for you. The longer you take, it is better for you. So let me advise them. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. I'm sure Mr. Conway can tell us about the law in relation to the revocation and the suspension of license and all of that. Mr. Conway.
All right, that was quite a mouthful, and I'm happy that you left a piece of baton there for me. I know you could have gone on. Yeah. But let me talk about the law, section 3.2. If you're going to suspend, if you're going to suspend, it must not be longer than not exceeding 30 days. And then even you're going to require from the person to show cause, they say within 15 days of the date of issued order as to why the suspension of the license shall not be extended until the determination of the question of cancellation. So you don't jump and cancel. You suspend for a period of 30 days and you write them for show cause within 15 days. And after you suspend, there are some of the things you mentioned. Section 4 saying the private security shall by order of the controlling authority to cease to provide security service. Not the minister, and the controlling authority is the commissioner of police. I heard the minister go and give order. The minister is out of the thing, because if the person is going to appeal, he has to appeal to the minister. So if the minister has given the order, how could he appeal to the minister? So the thing is the controlling authority. And the talk about all firearms and ammunition shall be handed over to the police force. All clients shall be informed of the cancellation. All security personnel shall cease to wear uniforms. Upon suspension, all process and training of all personnel must cease for the period of suspension. So they can't do nothing, no training, no nothing. But if you cancel, or if you cancel, all firearms license shall be revoked. The appointment of all supernumerary constables shall be revoked. And upon cancellation, the company shall cease to use the emblem, logo, or badge. So we talk about suspension, and then you move on to cancellation. But if you're going to suspend, not exceeding 30 days, and you ask them to show cause within 15 days, why it should not be suspended, and then you can move on to cancellation. And the law is clear up when suspension, what should be done, and when cancellation, what should be done. Very, very clear.
The law is very, very clear, folks. Minister Ben, the man who sits in the commissioner chair, the acting commissioner, we call him the extended squatter. The law is clear that, and even without reading the law, there are certain things that with experience, got to be there someplace. Even without reading that law, it occurred to me that you cannot suspend or revoke just like that. Natural justice. The person has a right to be heard. So therefore, you have to ask them to show cause. Why? And again, not only ask them to show cause, but tell them in plain language what the violation is. That in accordance to the act, you fail to do so. For them to show cause, having regards to that, why this firearm license or why the license to you to operate a security company should not be revoked. I have a suspicion, I got a board whisper to me that they run with breakneck speed to say that they are going to suspend the security company. And from the time I heard that, I said these people are going to run into some legal issues, because people are going to challenge it. And when they challenge it, they're going to be found to be wanting. That is, the people who did the revocation are going to be found wanting. So we hope that they do the correct thing. And as we said yesterday, it's not only about this company, there are other companies as well. And as people commented yesterday, there's a Johnny come lately ones. Because the question was asked yesterday, why companies like GEB and PPS and the one on the East Coast by Grand Coastal there, the name escapes me now. Why is it that these older companies are not running into these problems? It's the Johnny come lately companies owned by some people who don't even know who they are. And you know, we talked about the role yesterday of Special Branch. And this is one of the roles of Special Branch, because before those forces are granted permission to operate a security company, before they are granted permission to acquire all those high-power firearms, a proper background check should be done by Special Branch. And if they're doing their work properly, then they would have been able to advise the authority either not to give, or when these people violate, to let them know all these people are violating the terms, are violating the law. Yes, Frank, MMC, I'm referring to the other security company. These older security companies don't have these problems, you know. Don't have these problems. It's the newer ones that is what you're having, the newer ones. So something must be wrong. Now, before we move on, I got to ask you again, to please give us a thumbs up. Give us the thumbs up. And Sean, thank you for telling us. We know we have a lot of cricket fans here. Guyana, RP Eagles, I think they are known as now. They are in battle with the Windward Island. No, with this franchise cricket, they got out the name. But the Windward Islands, yesterday, Guyana, I think at the end they made 3-something. And I think I saw the Windward in reply were 12 without loss. This match has been played in Antigua. Sean is reporting that the Windward Islands are now 48 for 8. 48 for 8. A lot of 8s going on, 48. Thanks for that update, Sean. But let me move on. You know, they say Guyana is not a real place. Guyana is bad. Bad. I'm going to tell you now about this matter that surfaced recently, where a man for whom a Interpol red notice was issued back in November 2019. Interpol issued a red notice for this man. And let me explain to you who or what Interpol is and what is a red notice. We teaching. We like to do it the right way. We can't assume that you know what Interpol is. Let me tell you, Interpol, I'm going to tell you a joke about Interpol in a short while. Is the International Criminal Police Organization. International Criminal Police Organization known as Interpol. Many years ago, I think it was around 2005. Oh, no, perhaps even before that. I had to go to India on official business. I went to visit the factory that manufactures these racing vehicles. You know, we had some vehicle in Rakshak. I went to India with the agent from Trinidad to source those vehicles. So I traveled and my passport had inside police officer. So when I turned up in India, we landed in Mumbai and going to immigration, and the people saw police. The immigration officer looked at me. He said, Interpol. I did not respond, but you could imagine the VIP treatment I got there after to go through the immigration and the people. The man looked at the passport and see police, and he assumed that I was part of Interpol. No, I was not. So the Interpol is the International Criminal Police Organization, and they say here the organization enables police in 192 countries to work together to fight international crime. Interpol provides a range of policing expertise and the capabilities supporting three main crime programs: counterterrorism, cybercrime, and organized and emerging crime. And when we talk about cybercrime, they're talking about when you call a man a trench crapper, the police running after you. They're not speaking about when you go on the social media and you say officers take bribe. Next thing you know, you are a target of cybercrime. One man claimed that a man does duck and bugger, cybercrime. No. So this thing what we're talking about with Interpol and counterterrorism and cybercrime is not that. It's not this law in Guyana that is being abused and misused, right? So that's what Interpol, the organization Interpol is. It's an international police organization that assists countries. Not 192 countries are members, right? I know Guyana is a member as well. So the red notice, what is a red notice? What is a red notice? A red notice issued by Interpol is essentially an international request to locate and provisionally arrest an individual pending extradition based on a valid national arrest warrant. It is not an international arrest warrant itself. That is the same, the red notice is not an international arrest warrant itself, but serves as a tool to assist law enforcement worldwide. And it goes on to say red notices issued by Interpol. No, sorry, I read that already. Red notices typically expire after 5 years. However, they are subject to renewal if the Interpol member country that originally made the request advises Interpol that the notice should remain outstanding. So that is what Interpol is. So Interpol issued a red notice for a man by the name of Vitesh Jampasad Gupta. Now let me read what Kaicho News reported on the 18th of March. They say man wanted by Interpol nabbed in Georgetown. It goes on to say a man identified as Vitesh Jamnapasad Gupta, who is wanted by Interpol, was living in Duke Street, Kingston, Georgetown area, living in the Duke Street, Kingston, Georgetown area. The opposite of the U.S. Embassy, 93 Duke Street. I check out the place. 93 Duke Street is Duke Lodge. Guy in a nice man. Guy in a nice man. The man is living, this man has an international red notice of Interpol that he wanted, living in Duke Street, just west of the U.S. Embassy, on a property owned by the National Security Advisor of Guyana, Sherry Govaya. So let me go ahead with the thing. Police confirmed that Gupta, who is on the Interpol red notice, was arrested by ranks of the Guyana Police Force on Thursday at a popular night spot at Main Street, Georgetown. There's only one night spot to get from Main Street, Georgetown. So you go figure, you're playing safe at a popular night spot in Georgetown. The Netherlands national is a businessman here and operates a boutique in a mall in Georgetown. Lord, the thing is sweet. According to reports, Gupta is alleged to be part of the Calafansi Nuardia, I can't pronounce it, one of the largest and most powerful mafia organizations in the world, operating out of Italy, and will visit Guyana and Suriname regularly. The mafia organization reportedly has a multi-million euro business that smuggled shipment of cocaine as large as 200 kilograms from Brazil, Guyana, and Colombia to Rotterdam and Antwerp. Reportedly during the period January 2015 and 2028, Gupta was wanted for his alleged participation in the transnational mafia, a type of criminal conspiracy aimed at international drug trafficking. It is alleged that the suspect, along with others, imported, transported, illegally possessed, and sold considerable quantities of cocaine in Italy. The drugs originated in Colombia, Guyana, Brazil, and Suriname. It reportedly passed through the Netherlands and Belgium. According to Interpol, the subject was a supplier of the drugs. The subject was a supplier of the drugs who had a close relationship with a lumber dealer. The name is withheld in Georgetown back in 2017. The lumber dealer is also a person of interest in a 2023 drug raid in Italy. He is said to be intricately connected to the mafia. Italian police discovered that one of the dealers is a cousin of the lumber dealer heir and also a freelance real estate agent in Westling. The media was made to understand that efforts are being made to have Gupta extradited to face charges. So let me come back. Let me unpack what I just read it to you. This man who is Interpol issued a red notice. They say he wanted by Interpol. He not wanted by Interpol. They issue a red notice because some other country would have asked Interpol to do so. The man live in Guyana. I want 11 Duke Street, 93 Duke Street. That is the address given. I checked the thing. 93 Duke Street is Duke Lodge. I checked further. Duke Lodge is owned by Gerald Gavaya, who is the national security advisor. And Duke Lodge is immediately opposite the U.S. Embassy in Duke Street. So the man hiding in plain sight. The man hiding in plain sight. More than that, let me show you. Y'all forgive me. I'm being very unprofessional by laughing, but I can't help it. I can't help it. Let me show you all this picture that I'm going to explain. Look at this. This is Mr. Guptar and his wife. And this is the wife and the first lady having tea, they say. Having tea. Bodyguard is not a rapist. This man is a wanted man. Interpol issue a red notice for him. He is in Guyana. He has a business in some, they say he got a boutique in a mall in Georgetown. And his wife, Mr. Gupta's wife, is having tea with the first lady, as the English would say. She's having tea with the first lady. And people speculate as to the amount of money that is paid to have a cup of tea. And I can tell you, it is not within the reach of us local and ordinary folks. But this thing is so, somebody say embarrassing. This is beyond the pale. And again, Special Branch. What work Special Branch doing? Special Branch should be able to advise the people, hey, this man should, well, first of all, if you know what you're about, and there's no reason why you should not know. Because let me tell you, I'm bringing Mr. Conway. Mr. Conway said, I'm taking enough of the baton, but the baton's sweet. So I got to take enough CC, forgive me. Now remember, when a person enters this country, as far as I know, the ED forms, those forms they fill out, find their way at some stage to Special Branch. Long ago, immigration was a part of Special Branch. Then it was separated. So I think it's still up to when I left. I think they still go to Special Branch. So Special Branch ought to have been in possession of this ED form with this man who is wanted by Interpol, who Interpol issued a red notice. So they ought to have been aware that the man is in Guyana from the get-go. Unless the man come through backtrack, he did not pass through the ports. But then the man got a business. So they did not register this business. So that again, records will show that this man is, this wanted man owns a business. When did Mr. Gupta arrive in Guyana? When? Because the red notice was issued for him since 2019, November 2019. When did he arrive in Guyana? So what is, again we say, we get Special Branch people running around shooting at the Mati police on the East Bank, and then they give a bullshit explanation. This is the work of the Special Branch. A man is, a red notice is issued, they ought to be able to track him down and alert the regular police where he is so they can arrest him and move with the extradition proceedings. That is what they should be doing. That is what they should be doing. So, but other than that, the other Special Branch there on the road on the East Coast back in 2022, he leading a right unit. You have operatives leading undercover operation, and that's what undercover ended up with the death of Quindon Bacchus on the East Coast. Then a few nights ago on the Providence area there, big shooting out, 88 rounds, Special Branch fired at a car being driven by a police sergeant. That is what they're supposed to be. This is their work. And so I understand that since the man was arrested, they are trying to praise themselves, and they're saying that they do good work, and they were tracking this man for over a year and all that. That is your job. That is your job. Why did it take you a whole year? This man came into this country, there's a red notice for him. Why did it take you a whole year to track where this man is? The man there in plain sight. The man going at a popular night spot on Main Street. The man owns a mall in a boutique in Georgetown, and you can find this man. Let me bring him Mr. Conway for get somebody back in man. See, come in and come back to this issue. Then done so. Yeah, my brother.
Yeah. You know, it's mind-boggling. Duke Street, Duke Lodge is a stone's throw away from the police headquarters, you know, a stone's throw away from police headquarters, and 2 streets away from the police special branch. And that's where the special branch should come in. You know, what really are they doing? Shooting at the old Marty? Special branch. And then you ask the question, when did this man come in this country? What kind of visa did he get? Did he get an extension? He's a businessman. Did he get permit to work in Guyana? They're not checking on all these things there. And getting back to Duke Lodge and the owner, there's a similar fact. I remember a couple of years ago at Community Creek, where is it at a resort? A certain woman, I wouldn't call her name, but she was wanted for an investigation in the murder of her husband. And there she was working, I think as a supervisor at that location there, which has connection to Duke Lodge. What really is Special Branch doing? They're supposed to do a lot of undercover work. They gotta check on aliens, persons who come in this country. They gotta check. And maybe sometimes for all you know, the man is a licensed firearm holder and all kind of thing. That I don't know what really Special Branch is doing. And I hear a part of the thing I said was an intelligence-led operation, and Special Branch ranks, I was told, actually arrested that man. So they're taking praise, quietly they're taking praise that Special Branch ranks actually arrested that man. That should never be. They should pass on information and let the operations people do the work. So here again, Special Branch persons in doing operational work. We had it on the East Coast. We had it, I think, a couple of years ago in Georgetown, when they slaughtered some, I think about 4 men on the seawall. There's a Special Branch traced them from a Citizen Banking in Scotia Bank in Robb Street to the seawall, and where they were murdered. Here again, Special Branch rank, instead of doing intelligence work, instead of doing undercover work, they are they're doing operational work. I don't know if it's true, still to confirm, but they're saying it was an intelligence-led operation, and Special Branch ranks actually did the arrest. Unheard of. Pass on information, give it to the operational people so they could do the work, but maybe they want praise. I did it first. Operations couldn't arrest the man, so we arrested the man, you know. I don't know the Special Branch, but it is shocking, Paul. It is shocking.
It is shocking indeed. And when you talk about intelligence-led and police, that is now becoming, in my view, an oxymoron. To say intelligence and police, it's an oxymoron, because everything they say intelligence-led operation. And to continue with that same matter, it is reported that I think it was yesterday or Sunday, Netherlands national Vitesh Jamnapasad Guptar, a 59-year-old businessman of Lot 93 Duke Street, Kingston, appeared before the magistrate of the Georgetown Magistrate Court yesterday. That might have been on Tuesday, I think it might have been, where the allegation of conspiracy to traffic drugs internationally was read to him. So he's charged here for conspiracy to traffic drugs internationally was read to him. Then he goes on to say Gupta is wanted by the International Police Agency, Interpol, for aggravated criminal conspiracy to commit international drug trafficking. The prosecution is set to present the request to proceed from Italy, since Gupta has been on Interpol's red list since 2019 and is wanted for alleged involvement with a mafia organization. As a result, Gupta was remanded to prison until March 28, 2024, awaiting the decision for extradition to Italy. According to a police release, the man was arrested on Sunday, 17th of March, 2024, during an intelligence-led operation at Palm Court on Main Street, Georgetown. This article states where he was. His next court appearance will be on the 28th. This is what this one saying. This article that I just read says that he was, according to the police, he was arrested on Sunday, March 17, 24, during an intelligence-led operation at Palm Court on Main Street, Georgetown. That is what they're saying. And we ask the question again, why this man, again, we don't know when he came into the country. The red notice was issued to him in November of 2019. I researched that, so I know that that is accurate based on the report. We don't know when he arrived in Guyana, but they ought to have had some record to show when this man arrived. Even if we say the man came backtrack, that is, he did not come through a legal port of entry. This man established a business. This man lives a stone's throw from police headquarters and immigration and special branch. How come? The red notice, I think, Carlton, the red notice, when it is published, it goes to CID headquarters. The red notice goes to, as far as I'm aware, back it goes to CID. Interpol has a direct contact. Years ago, they had even had computers link up and all that, everything, direct to CID headquarters. So Interpol would have been, they would have interacted with CID. But CID is supposed to have a database. If you go now on the internet, you can go into the site, put in the relevant information, and look to see all those persons for whom red notices have been issued. It is there. What is there? And then, well, Selvin is asking me a question here. Was he on the upper flat of Palm Court, where the big boys usually hang? I don't know. That's not a place I would frequent. I can't afford to go to Palm Court. Even when I was in the force, I banned those places from the places to visit because I was aware that certain people who I do not want to be associated with, who I do not even want to come close to, frequented those places, so I don't go. You could never catch Paul Slow going to their places. You would never, ever, right? I was always aware of my surroundings and those things. So here it is. That is what we have. And the next issue now that we have to see, and we're going to follow it very closely to keep you updated, is to see what will happen with this court matter now that is before the court. Remember some years ago, I think it was with Dataram, when they were making efforts to extradite Dataram. It was a big, big issue in this country. Big issue. How the law did not provide and all of that. I think amendments were made thereafter. So let's wait and see. But this is not the first man. I remember when you see people obnobbing with certain people. I remember a man named Dali Chan, who during the last election was very close to the people who are now in government. And then here you all in the States with drugs and all of that. So they say birds of a feather, you know. Birds of a feather not only flock together, but birds of a feather gravitate to the same places and so on. Let me give Mr. Carver to wrap up this part, and then we can move on. The thing sweet, Bart, you see it's sweet.
Yeah, and then look at the photographs. Look at the photographs and with the force, and that is not artificial intelligence, Paul. Photograph tells more than 1,000 words, not artificial intelligence. But let's look and see what is going to happen. We're going to play out.
It is not AI, nor is it photoshopped. We must say that it is not AI, nor is that photograph Photoshop. It is the real thing. It is the real thing. Now, let me say this to you. When we spoke yesterday about this operation which led to the death of the escapee from Masuri prison, we told you that the Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson Ben, actually went to Saxakali. It is reported he went to Saxakali and he interacted with the Giant Services rank. I think that was before the operation. And this is the picture we were looking for yesterday. I couldn't find it yesterday, but we continue to research. There it is. Mr. Conway had remarked about it. So you have the Minister of Home Affairs in that red shirt or jacket, whatever you want to call it there. He is there. That picture is set to him. Speaking the ranks of the Giant Services who are at Saxakali. I think Saxakali is where the operation was launched from. I don't know what he's telling them. I don't know what the Minister of Affairs is telling. You have, according to the picture, I recognize you have soldiers and soldiers from the Ghana Defense Force and policemen. I suspect those in that gray might have been policemen from the Ghana Police Force SWAT unit. So Ben been there, maybe give them a little pep talk, maybe they gene them up, all of that type of thing. So he was there with them. And I was to mention yesterday it slipped me that when you hear Mr. Ben saying that they are going to see all the firearms should seize and audit should be done and all that, you can't take him at his word, you know. Because remember he told us that Skeng, Skeng coming next month. He says Skeng can't play at no public function. And I heard advertisement for the show, man. I hear the advertising for show, Skeng, big show, somewhere in Linden area there and so on. So Robson Ben Ward didn't get weight. So if he tell us investigation is going to be done and arms are going to be seized and all of that, don't let us sit back and wait for that to happen. Because if he can, as the Minister of National Security, he big nice a few years ago that Skeng cannot come back to Guyana. Then the man made the most ridiculous statement. Say he could come, he could perform in private place, and he could behave bad if he want in a private place. We have to remind him that even if it is a private place, once the public has access, it becomes a public event. It becomes a public event, Minister. So, see, I thought I would have brought that back on to refresh our memory and to tell our students what we were referring to yesterday about Mr. Ben speaking to the Joint Services rank. CC?
Yeah, and when I look at that photograph, some people in short pants, I think I see somebody with a hand in a pocket. I know what Ben telling about, but how Ben is getting involved in operational matters. He's policy. Maybe that's why things going wrong. He can't get involved in operational matters. What he get all of them there. Look at the photograph, Look at them there. Well, it's a large number of persons though. And a large number of persons they're just to kill a one man who they say rush out from his hiding place with a cutlass and they heavily armed men and they shoot him. And then we know how much wrongs they discharge with a one wrong or a boss. The whole thing is ridiculous, Paul. The whole thing. You know what Ben doing there? I know what Ben doing at Saxicali of all places.
But sometimes Ben didn't even know what he's doing there. Sometimes Ben himself does not know what he is doing there. And it's interesting to see the ranks there armed with, I recognize AR-15 style rifle, AK-47 and the type. And to think that if these were the men who went after the wanted men, and if these are the men that the wanted man saw coming and attacked with cutlass, something wrong come to the Chinese, something definitely wrong. So we thought we'll show you that picture to reinforce what we said to you yesterday. But moving on, let me move on. What time we got? We done an hour in this program already, my Lord. We done an hour in the program already. Now, let me go on to this issue that is bubbling up all over. I refer you now to this United Nations Human Rights Group that has been questioning Guyana on a lot of issues. I got some things to read. I have some things to read. Now, hold a minute. Let me find my thing, man. The first thing, let me read this part, that there's an article which says, and this is yesterday News Source article. The caption is, President blames opposition operatives for UN committee's question about corruption allegation against Vice President Jagdeo. The president of Guyana, Mohamed Irfan Ali, is blaming the opposition. They say he blames opposition operatives for the UN's committee questions about corruption allegation against Vice President Jagdeo. And let me read some more what it says. The article says President Irfan Ali has rushed to the defense of his Vice President, Bharat Jagdeo, in the wake of questions from the United Nations Human Rights Committee about the absence of an investigation to corruption allegations that were leveled against the Vice President. The president is accusing, and I quote, opposition operatives, end of quote, of furnishing the UN human rights body of propaganda. He said that they're giving the UN propaganda. In a statement to E-Network newsroom, President Ali was quoted as saying, UN committee member who asked the questions pertaining to corruption and the courtier was obviously fed with propaganda of the opposition operatives, end of quote. Adding that the question followed a line of the opposition in trying to paint the government in a negative light Government Minister Gail Teixeira, who has been facing the questions by the Human Rights Committee as part of its period review of Guyana, indicated to the committee that although the allegation against the vice president were made in a Vice News report, they never made any complaint. Let me read that back. There was never any complaint filed to the police by Vice News or anyone else pertaining to the corruption allegation. She also reminded that the vice president had repeatedly denied the allegation. Now, let me deal with that part. Let me deal with that part. Again, I can't say we all know. So let me remind you, I can't assume that you know what we're talking about. Again, this is the teaching part in me. Some years ago, about 2 years ago, Vice News, which is one of these investigative reporting news network out of the US, Isabella Young, I think was the reporter's name, came to Guyana, spent a lot of time in Guyana. The video is there for you to see. Spent a lot of time doing undercover work. And then it was revealed during the undercover work that the man who pulls the string is the vice president. The other man who they claim to be the intermediary, a man named Shu Jirong. So an interview was arranged with the vice president, Jack Dio. Su Jirong was able to carry the Vice News operatives into the vice president's living room for this interview. So they went into the living room and the interview went on and it was going on. And then the allegation was put to him, or the question was put to him as to whether about allegations of corruption, which he denied. He said all sort of things. It is there. And then he says, words to the effect that perhaps they're generalizing. They come to this country to find things and to all sort of things, he said. And he mentioned that there was nothing specific on that. And then the woman, this is the part, man, the sweet part. You want to ask him, who is Su Jirong? The man said, who Su? Oh, he's my tenant. So you have the case where the vice president's tenant, Su Jirong, was able to go in or to take visitors into the vice president's living room. During the course of that interaction, the people seem to have put some proposal to him. And then he said, no, Su deals with that part of the business. He deals with things from the government end. I'm paraphrasing here, but that's what he said. That is the gist of what he said. So the question was asked, if Su is an ordinary civilian, what part of the business Su deals with? Understand this, this is the investigative instinct. If Su is an ordinary civilian and the vice president is telling Vice News that Su deals with that part of the business and he deals with a part from the government side, what part of the business is Su dealing with? The allegation was that the vice president has to get $500,000 for these big contracts to be awarded. That was the allegation. And when the allegation was made, the first thing that got me mad is that the thing was advertised, that it was to be aired on Sunday night. I remember that well. I was in Guyana at the time. So I sat back with my cokes, I can't share, and my cokes and my popcorn to hear this thing. And then what happened? The dash of blackout in my skin. the dash of power outage in my skin. I couldn't get to see the thing. I look at it at some other time. So, and here what the Minister of Governance, Gail Teixeira, I got to put you in the category of Mark Phillips. They tell so much lie. Mark Phillips, Gail Teixeira, and Bar Jack. You want to sue me? They tell so many lies that are easily proven to be lies. Let me read it here, what the news is saying that she said. She said that that the allegations made against Vaisu were made against the vice president were made in a Vice News report, and they never made any complaint or filed any complaint to the police by Vice News or anyone else pertaining to the corruption allegation. She also reminded that the vice president had repeatedly denied the allegation. Let me deal with the reporting part, then I'm going to bring Mr. Conway. So you were saying to the world, this is not his only Guyana, this is the world, that unless a formal report is made, the police cannot investigate? I don't know that. So because then you're saying that if the police are there and a robbery is going on down the road, and nobody comes to the police and tell them, yep, a robbery going on, then the police can't go and investigate? The analogy is fitting because we are saying that the mere fact that this thing was made public for the world to see, any responsible, decent, and respectful government would have ensured that a credible investigation was launched immediately. This is against your vice president, the man who wields, and we know all the political power in this country. Such a damning allegation is made against him. And Gail Teixeira is telling the United Nations body that because Vice News, an American news entity, did not make a report to the police, they cannot investigate. And then she goes on to say the vice president had repeatedly denied the allegation. You expect he to say, yes, I did it? Huh? You expect the vice president to say, yes, I did collect the bribe and so on? That is what she is saying. That is what she said. And the thing is so embarrassing. We have more to unpack on this. But let me bring in CC to deal with something. CC, your thoughts on this whole thing about the allegation against the vice president, old now, and the response given to the United Nations body by the Minister of Governance, Gail Teixeira.
Like you, Paul, I watched the I watched the interview, and then like you, I got blackout. But then I subsequently saw it. And there it is, Jack Deo, who he says attack man. He's rattle out things. You know, he get the answers to any questions. And yeah, and when you look at his body language, they call it the kinesis. I did a bit of study of body language with the FBI too, you know. The kinesis. Here's a fluent speaker, a man who could rattle out things. And then when the question posed him, Sue, who is Sue? Sue, you know, when in India is stuttering. Yeah? And as you rightly said, Paul, if it is public knowledge, the police don't have to go and wait for a formal report to come to them. As commando, I heard things on the social media. I read things on the social media, and I programmed my police to take action, and we were successful. And even they said they reported to the police, it was reported in Parliament, where the leader of the opposition, Arbin Norton, move a motion for it to be an urgent public interest. And the bias, the one-sided Speaker of the National Assembly slammed it down. He said it was not no urgent public, it's not public interest. That thing is all about the place, and a proper investigation should have been done. So the nonsense that the Gail Teixeira is saying that it had to be reported formally to the police before action could be taken, that is total nonsense. Even recently, I read where, I think in Suriname, where the Attorney General is investigating corruption by the president and some other members of his government. The Attorney General is doing an investigation of corruption. So I don't know what really she's saying, right? And you expect the vice president, and let me give him his proper designation, the second vice president to admit to corruption? No way. And then what is the woman doing in his house? Huh? And who took her there? She ain't going, she won't volition. She go with Sue. You know, the whole thing is ridiculous, and don't tell me nonsense that the police can investigate. They can investigate, or if not the police, the Ethical Relations Commission or some other body could investigate, but no, they shut down everything. It is not urgent public interest up to now.
Right, you said nonsense. I got an old inspector said nonsenseness. She talking here. Nonsenseness. Gail Teixeira talking. That the police couldn't do anything because Vice News did not make a report to the police. What rubbish. And you know, the sad part of this, is that this is being said to a United Nations body. So is the whole world hearing that rubbish coming from a person who is supposed to be a senior government functionary from Guyana, a senior government functionary. And let me go on to say further. Read further from this thing. It says the opposition in a statement of its own following the first day of the human rights body. That is this committee human rights body that is going on now. Reminded that it had filed a motion in the National Assembly calling for a full probe of the allegation against the Vice President. But the motion was blocked by the Speaker. Mr. Conway referenced that a while ago. President Ali, in a statement in newsroom, said the reference to corruption was not based on any evidence or facts. Hear what President Ali said to newsroom, which is one of the propaganda arm of the government. He says that the reference to corruption by this United Nations body was not based on any evidence or facts. He said he believes the member of the committee who raised the issue found himself in a trap that the opposition had historically used against PPPC government. And then a quote here now, the president is saying, what the opposition does is find conduit through which their messages can infiltrate international institutions. In this case, trying to use the individual's position to derail the 2 days of positive review Guyana had at the committee itself. And then a quote, another part said, well, not quote him, but another part of the article says, the member of the United Committee have repeatedly stated that their questions are based on credible information that is checked and verified. So the United Nations body, the members there are saying to them, look, we have checked and we have verified this information. That is what we come and ask you now. So when the president is saying that not based on any evidence and fact, the evidence is clear that Vice News went into the vice president's living room. That is facts. That is evidence. That is evidence. And let me tell them this. Let me tell you this. I am sure that that tape we are referring to, where the vice president started to stutter like an old-time motorbike and an old-time Volkswagen car stutter and couldn't answer the question, who's wrong? He's my tenant. That would have been analyzed carefully by those internationally acclaimed law enforcement organizations like the FBI and others. And they would have come to a conclusion as to whether he's telling the truth or not. And I'm sure those bodies, like the UN bodies and the UN government bodies, would have access to that type of analysis as to the vice president's reaction to that question. So you can come and tell us that there's no evidence or facts. It is a fact that Sue took Isabella Young and the other people from Vice News who were posing as Chinese businessmen into the living room of the vice president at Pradoville 2 on the east coast of Demerara. That is a fact. It is a fact that when questions were put to him, is a fact that he told the operatives that Sue deals with that part of the business. He deals with things of the government here. That is a fact. By his own words. I know he just said these things and then just go back. Like when he said that Venezuela can get a little concession and that type of thing. He go back and say he never said so. So these are facts, Mr. President. These are facts. And if you really want more facts, as a police officer, former police officer, I must say, before they charge me for impersonation, as a former police officer, you want more facts. That is when, or that is why you launch a credible investigation. An allegation is made. Allegation don't have to be facts. But once an allegation is made, the onus is on the people who are responsible to do an investigation to garner the facts, to either confirm what was said to be true or debunk. They like to use the word, they're debunking it. Remember Blanham, they hold a press conference to debunk the allegation made by Bascom. That is how it is done. So you sitting back there as president of this country and you say, oh, these things are, what he says, that they are based, let me read it back. President Ali in a statement in newsroom said the reference to corruption was not based on any evidence or facts. I gave you some facts just now. And I'm saying that if you really want evidence, that is when, and that is why you launch an investigation. An investigation is conducted to glean, to garner evidence in respect of a matter. So you can't sit back and say there's no evidence. You have a responsibility as the president to make sure that a credible investigation is done so that evidence can be garnered. And let me say this. An investigation, a credible investigation, if you are innocent, as the vice president claims to be, he should welcome a credible investigation, because as long as there's no credible investigation, that stench from Prattville 2 will follow him everywhere he goes. And a warning, I will read an article, a letter today by GHK Lal in today's paper. Let me tell you that we might sweep those things under the carpet. We might sweep them under the carpet, but as we have seen, these international bodies are not going to allow it to go like that. They are not going to allow these serious allegations to go like that. Allegation that the vice president has taken $500,000 to arrange contract. They call it a processing fee or something like that. That is what the allegation is. And that is why an investigation, credible investigation, should have been done. Not by the Guyana police, not by the RAS, some credible organization. We said they should have invited the FBI or the people from the UK or Canada to come and do the investigation. But I suspect that the reason why they have not done that is because there is more in the mortar than the pestle, as they would say, more in the mortar than the pestle. Let me bring back in Mr. Conway, man. Take some more back in money. Take some more.
Yeah, and I listened to the United Nations program, and the governance minutes, the portions of governance, Gail Teixeira, more lies too, because she's made it clear that the former head of the EPA signed some document with agreement with ExxonMobil when the man wasn't employed by there. It was 2 years before when he was working with the United Nations, and he signed documents. So many lies that you don't want to believe them. Since they open their mouth is lies, and still more lies. But as you mentioned, the United Nations, and I like the way how they probing and nobody would sidetrack them, and then they behaving like how the minister Ben and them be behaving when they interview. They were probing, and I love the program. Very cool, very calm, very collective, and very decisive. And much more is going to come out.
They were very cool, calm, collective, and decisive. You can't say the same for the Minister of Government, the Minister of Government Affairs. She seems very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. Maybe she had to have a change on the clothing. Seems very uncomfortable. Like, think past, if you've been in the area, you might have smelled flatus being released when the type of searching questions, probing questions were asked. And this article, let me read off a party. They said the committee also raised concerns about allegations of corruption within the Guyana police force and the local judiciary, and queried about whether an investigation was ever done into allegations that were leveled against the former permanent secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs, who had her visa revoked and was not allowed to enter the U.S. while on a trip. But let me correct them here. She's not a former permanent secretary. Well, yeah, former of the Ministry of Home Affairs, correct. Because she still holds a position, but no longer in the Ministry of Home Affairs. My bad. She's a former permanent secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs. And that too, again, I say, we might sweep these things under the carpet. The government may decide that Mayor Toussaint Thomas, having been held in the U.S. and questioned for hours, had her phone seized and all of that, had her visa revoked. So when she was returning from a trip to China, she couldn't come back to the U.S. She had to go through another route. And they believe that people got to forget about those things. But those things are there on record. those things that I see somebody write in the paper this morning, one of the apologists, one of the sycophants to say the fact that she had 10,000, below $10,000, she didn't violate any law. And go and tell the people them in the States that. Go and tell them. They feel they had probable cause to arrest her and to question her. They felt that they had that necessity. So if you feel that your rights were violated, then take it up with the U.S. authorities. Take it up, but don't sit back behind a penny and write in the paper and try to justify something. But the UN people are aware of that. They are aware that that happened. They're aware. They asked questions too about the acting commissioner. And the report that was made by Justice Ramlal that the acting commissioner wasn't complying with the law. It is, I have it somewhere. Let me read what it says, because this is what the people are zeroing into. These things are there for all to see. You know, this is what the chairman had said back in 2023, August. This was published in Stabrook News on the 15th of August, 2023. It says in a scathing report, Chairman of the Police Complaints Authority, Justice retired William Ramlal, has accused Police Commissioner Ikin Actin of flagrantly violating the Governing Act and recommended that President Ali put a stop to it. The court here saying, the Complaints Authority is saying, it is my recommendation that His Excellency the President makes it clear to the Commissioner of Police that he cannot continue to violate the law. End of quote. The PCA, the Police Complaints Authority Chairman, said in his 2022 annual report on the PCA, which was tabled in Parliament last week, reference was made to files done by the police concerning the deaths of 4 persons involving police ranks, which were never sent to him for investigations as mandated under sections 13 and 14 of the Police Complaints Authority Act. Ramlal in his report said, and I quote, these matters were all investigated by the police in flagrant violation of section 12, 13, and 14 of the said act, and then later sent to me for my report to be done pursuant to section 15 of the said act, which appears to me, which requires me to send this report to the Director of Public Prosecutions, end of quote. He goes on to say, I quote, the report can only be done if I supervise the respective investigations. I refer these matters to the DPP, informing her that it was impossible to compile my report in accordance with the specific requirements of the section 15 of the Act. Ramlal recommended that the DPP return these matters to the Commissioner of Police, Akin Actin, since the police force did not follow the procedures outlined in sections 12, 13, and 14 of the Act. That is what the matter was sent to the President. Ramlal, the Complaints Authority, complained. I am sure nothing is done because we have more than things. As a matter of fact, it would appear that though since this report or the complaint was made by the Complaints Authority to the President about the conduct of the acting commissioner, the man has been given an indefinite extension. The man has been given an indefinite extension. So he is now the extended squatter. That is what is going on. That is what is going on. And Mr. Conway referenced the thing with the Mr. Vincent Adams, where Minister Teixeira go and lie again. She told so many lies. By now, if it was in the, the story Pinocchio or whatever the name is, she knows it would have been this long. Would have been this long. Every time she tell a lie, the nose would have grown. Or some body part of the drop off. You want ears drop off first, then you let face drop off, and it continues like that. By now, she would have been partless. A lot of lies. And then Kaicho News is reporting today, government lied to UN Human Rights Committee about former EPA boss involvement in Exxon deal. I can't read it. Pinocchio. Yeah, Stan Sizzle. Pinocchio is the person. I got bright students, Pinocchio. It says here, former head of the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Dr. Vincent Adams, has written to the United Nations Human Rights Commission regarding misleading information presented to that body by the government in relation to his involvement in the signing of the lopsided ExxonMobil oil contract. The government appeared before the commission on Tuesday for a second hearing, where it was questioned on the competence of the present executive director of the EPA Kemraj Parsaram. The committee explained concerns having been raised regarding Parsaram's competency compared with the former head of the agency, Dr. Adams. Commissioner King Something Fancy Name, in a brief comment, explained that oil-producing states are prone to corruption, as influencers can come to deviate benefits of those resources. She therefore pointed to the critical role of the Environmental Protection Agency in ensuring that oil companies respect environmental standards and guarantee prudent exploration and production activities. The UN Commissioner noted that the committee was informed that when the People's Progressive Party took office in 2020, the former director was extremely competent, who had been extremely competent was removed, while concerns remain that the new director is not well versed in environmental standards and allow, therefore, companies to come into your country and exploit the oil resources without respecting the environmental standards that are very high indeed. The article goes on, I can read it, get some good story. Lyrics, we say lyrics. To this end, our question to the government was, who selected the director and how is independence guaranteed? Representing government was Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance, Gail Teixeira, who blamed Dr. Adams for overseeing the production sharing agreement signed between the former coalition administration and ExxonMobil. The minister told the UN body, and the quote area saying, the former commissioner or director of the EPA oversaw the 2016 PSA, that is the power sharing agreement, which has been criticized by all, including my government. And so I think sometimes that these issues become very partisan, end of quote. She continued, that is Gail Teixeira continued, these issues, the issue of the former director, he oversaw. He was part of the secret production sharing agreement of 2016, and nobody knew about it. And the signature bonus. Teixeira said the government had a right to replace the director, and she went on to note that the EPA board has reviewed the application of Mr. Parsaram and appointed him director. On the question of competence, the minister underscored that Guyana was a new oil producer and is currently utilizing a $20 million loan from the US, from the World Bank, to boost its capacity in this sector. And then the coach again is saying, I mentioned already that the US $20 million loan from the World Bank is helping to set up the regulatory framework of the EPA, because the act that was passed in 1994-95 had no concept of oil and gas. We only discovered oil in 2015 and started producing in 2019. And so the act also have to be brought into line, and this is where the system's technical assistance of the World Bank is critical, as 70% of that project is completed, and it should be finished by 2025 December, Gail Teixeira told them. Dr. Adams subsequently wrote a letter to the commission exposing the misleading information presented by the government. He said misleading, the man being decent, exposing the lies being told by the government. And here's what he says. In the document seen by this publication, dated March 19, 2024, the former EPA boss explained that when the 2016 oil deal was signed, he was employed as a senior executive in the United States Department of Energy. He explained, and I quote, it would have been a very serious violation of U.S. law, national security, and my oath of office to be working for another government, end of quote. Dr. Adams, a petroleum and environmental engineer, therefore noted, not only is the minister's accusation false and disrespectful to the committee, but it also puts me at risk of being branded as conducting illegal and patriotic acts against the U.S. He was keen to point out that he retired from the U.S. government on December 31st, 2016, and did not take up employment as head of the Environmental Protection Agency until October 1st, 2018, some 3 years and 3 months after the PSA, that is the Production Sharing Agreement, was signed. Dr. Adams told the UN Human Rights Commission that he was one of the first to publicly criticize the public sharing agreement and continued to do so, even while serving as director of the agency. Moreover, he explained, the EPA has absolutely nothing to do with the crafting and or managing of the the PSA. For that would be an obvious conflict of interest. It was crafted and managed by the Ministry of Natural Resources. Blah, 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 blah. So you see what's going on here? Lies and lies and lies. They tell lies, and I am so happy that Dr. Adams, very competent environmentalist, was able to write to this body, real time, let them see the lies that are being told. But as the people said, they don't just take people's word for that. They do their due diligence. They check. So when they ask these questions, they were asking from a position of knowledge and strength. Mr. Conway, come in and say some more on this issue. This thing's sweet bad, man. Go ahead.
Just getting back to the extended squatter and the complaints authority. And as you mentioned, I think it was yesterday, that there's nothing like chairman of the complaints authority. It's the police complaints authority. And the complaints authority has the power, or is mandated by law, and this is what the extended squatters breach, to supervise investigation. Section 12 says, this part shall apply in relation to any complaint or information that any member of the force has unlawfully caused the death of any person or has committed an offense referred to in section 48, 49, 50, section 55, read with section 56 or in section 57. So they're saying any offenses where under section 48, 49, 50, 55, 56, and 57, the Criminal Law Offences Act, the complaints authority shall supervise the investigation. Section 4 said the authority shall supervise the investigation of every complaint or information of that nature referred to under section 12. So it's saying that what the commissioners got to do, who's holding the position there, is when these offenses have been identified or there's allegation, is to write the complaint authority stating out what took place, and the complaint authority will click in and supervise that investigation, and the matter will then subsequently be sent to the DPP for advice. I think there's a case where a policeman was charged with either murder or manslaughter, and he got off under the grounds that the complaint authority did not supervise that investigation, and he couldn't supervise it because the police, the commissioner of police, did not notify him so that he could have supervised the investigation. So a lot of matters where the offense committed and the extended squatter has not written the police complaint authority so that he could have supervised those investigations. And many things happening, on the breach of the Constitution, and just left like that, Paul.
Yeah, so these things, the facts are there, Mr. President. So we talk about facts and evidence. You can get, if you want the evidence, you could get to Mr. Ramlal to provide the evidence, because I'm aware that the Police Complaints Authority reports directly to the President. Formerly, I think he reported to the Minister of Affairs, but a few years ago that was changed, and he reports directly. So you have direct access to this type of information. So you're not going to say that there's no evidence and they don't have facts and all of that. And again, with this matter, with what is going on now with the UN, I invite you to read a letter in today's Starbrook News, might be elsewhere as well, written by G.H.K. Lal, one of the prolific writers. G.H.K. Lal, let me read excerpts. The question was from this man: what has the government, and we're talking about this United Nations body, human rights body that is conducting this regular meeting there now and is questioning the representative of Guyana. And the question was, what has the government done about the allegations involving Guyana's vice president? And you see, the questioner was an American nominee. Neither the man or his interests nor the object of his inquiry are accidental. That's what the GSK is saying. Neither the man nor his interest, nor the object of his inquiry are accidental. Guyanese should take note of that, particularly the PPP. Similarly, the female interrogator who brought up that sickening matter involving allegations from a Chinese businessman and encircling Jagdeo was also not accidental. America, oh America, are Guyanese paying attention? Is the PPP listening? Actually hearing what these Yankees are saying? Since everyone is pretending to denseness, then the heavy duty falls on me. Oh, GSK Lal. He goes on to say the Yankees are terribly unhappy with the PPP government. Too much corruption. That dirty old word. That dirty word again. Too much uncleanness in government. More specifically, the Americans are unhappy with Jagdeo. Jagdeo has become baggage. Ancient allegation of corruption against the former national leader, but now an even greater powerhouse do not find their way into a United Nations forum dedicated to human rights just like that. But they were slap on the face, fuck on the face of man and government, people and country. They could not have been a bigger, broader audience. Who didn't know before? Know now. Who didn't care earlier? I'd better care now. Jagdeo is spoiled goods. I pain for the man. My history has been having to feel sorry for those who have borne false witness against me. There is no joy, only regret that a man who had everything going for him could have done so much went down the path that he chose. Jagdeo first responder. Here GSK Lal, man. Oh God, that's a good command of the language. Jagdeo first responder, the no less Minister Teixeira, only made matters worse. She didn't put her foot in her mouth. She put her mouth in an unmentionable place. Nobody did anything, so the police couldn't do nothing. Where do Guyana get people like these from? And then put them where they are. How do they last so long? Must be the culture, must be the weather, environment, or morals too. It is time to wrap this up. I caution Jagdeo, going overboard to do right by Exxon has its pluses, but America is airing about all that goes wrong here under the Jagdeo Ali TAC team. Institutions politicized, citizens pulverized, standards minimized. A PPP supporter from the East Coast, Demerara, said it better than I can. Here what the man say, quote, them man this come back. Let me read about them man this come back in there and they're more bad than before. Here what the PPP supporter counter GSK Lal told him. Them man this come back in there and they're more bad than before. He said it, not me. At least Guyanese forget. There was that pesky, relentless fellow at the United Nations asking those punishing questions about the PPP government and Jagdeo. Indeed, there's a time for everything. For Jagdeo, it is time to weep. The GSK Lal calls it Ecclesiastic 3. There's a time for everything, my brother. There's a time for everything. But let me say this. All that is revealing here now at the UN is what we have been saying all along, that people in this part of the world, in Guyana in particular, believe that these things are glossed over and you're finished with it. We might be finished with it. Limited shelf life in Guyana. But those people have the resources and they have the memory. And again, I say, as the persons told Gail Teixeira, they don't just come and make statements or ask questions just like that. They have the resources and they have the capacity, they have the intelligence, they have the credibility. So they're going to do their research. They're going to do the research. And when they ask questions, it's because the research show that there's validity in the questions. There is validity in the questions. So they could jump high and jump low. And as I said, this ain't done in so. This is not going to done like that. the stench of that Sue allegation. And you know, the sad thing is, this now what time is it now? 12:43. This afternoon at some time, the same vice president will walk into Freedom House, hold his usual press conference, and spew a lot of crap again. A lot of things he's going to talk. He's not going to address this issue. He's not going to address the issue of this Sue gate. He said that he Sue. Now he said that he filed a lawsuit against Sue. And then months after, they said that the Sue was served. And I asked the question before, was it postal service or was he served? Because it seems that Sue has disappeared off the map. And if Sue has disappeared off the map, how does he intend to pursue this matter in court? Does the vice president intend to go and get a default judgment? Because obviously it doesn't look like Sue, when they go to court, it doesn't look like Sue going to turn up. As a matter of fact, when is this matter due to come up before the court? When? You know, you have a situation where Vice President Sue, a citizen, that I think he's a citizen of Guyana, or Sue someone else. It is the interest of the Vice President of the whole country to know what is going on, for him to inform the country through his lawyers. This is the state, the matter is next due on such and such a date or something like that. But there's a lot of secrecy, and the Vice President himself was sued by the former Accountant General. Maybe he ducked and he run and he hide for weeks, according to what was reported by Mr. Gulsaran, the former Attorney General. Then eventually it was served. Wonder what happened to the matter as well. I have to do some research to find out what has happened to that matter. Mr. Conway, let me bring you back to give your closing remarks, and then we're going to talk about our way forward. CC, your closing remarks, my brother.
Well, I'm happy that some of these matters are being ventilated, and more so on the world stage, you know, because they have the ability where they would shut them down and want to shut down some of the persons who may want to bring them forward. But this is on the world stage, and we need to listen very carefully. And I think much more is going to come up, and we can get more lies and lies and more lies.
More lies, and more lies. I mean, the good thing about the lies is that, like what Dr. Adams did, immediately you have to come to these things. You can't allow them to fester, to remain there immediately. And then the president talking about the opposition using propaganda. I mean, that is a ridiculous statement coming from the president, but it's not surprising to me, right? The evidence is there. Corruption allegations are made. And you sit back to say, all right, they didn't report to the police, so no investigation was done. What nonsense is that? What nonsense is that? And then you jump when you talk about propaganda and all of that. Nonsenseness, as my old colleague would say. Folks, let me tell you about a few more things before I we tell you about the way forward. I see a report that is an outbreak of chickenpox, I think it is, at the Lusignan prison. That's something we have to watch very carefully. Authorities have to watch very carefully because chickenpox is a very contagious disease. Dr. Anthony, Frank Anthony, let's hear from you. What is the position with this outbreak of chickenpox? Minister Ben, seeing that the Lusignan prison that comes under your ministry is named as an area that is affected, what is going on there? The public needs to know what is going on there. And then sadly this morning, as I was coming on online, we got a report, police investigating alleged murder of 17-year-old youth from Potentia. Story go, police are investigating an alleged murder committed in Aaron Best, a 17-year-old unemployed resident of Potentia West Bank, Demerara, which occurred about 21:30 hours last night, Wednesday night. The suspects are a 16-year-old student of Skull City, Potentia, and a 17-year-old student of Potentia. Enquiries disclosed that the deceased was walking from Tufield, heading to a nearby shop to make a purchase, when the suspect began pelting Bess with bottles and bricks due to an old misunderstanding. As Bess continues his journey, the suspect approached him, and one of the teens dealt him 2 lashes with a piece of steel, while the other took out a knife from his waist and dealt him several stabs about his body. As a result of the injuries, Best fell to the ground, and the suspects made good their escape. The 17-year-old was picked up by the public prison citizen, escorted to the West Demerara Regional Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival by the doctor on duty. The body was checked by the police, and the following wounds were seen: left side chest, and the body of the waiting postmortem examination. Another murder, another senseless murder. Youths involved. Youths, one dead, and obviously the lives of the others are damaged now, because at some stage they're going to be arrested, and they are going to have to then pass through the system. And as we know it, as we have come to see, murder, you're going to wait there for 4 to 5 years before you come up to trial. Lives destroyed in this country, lives destroyed. Too much violence, too much violence. And we made the argument that all of this is a result of an environment of lawlessness. This thing should not be viewed in isolation. We live in an environment of lawlessness where the Minister of Governance can go and lie to United Nations body. Lie, tell blatant lies to a United Nations body. Where the President can make statements that are contemptuous of our knowledge and experience and our intelligence. And it goes on and on and on. On and on. We have been pointing these things out to you. And again, we say, it is occurring, in my view, I'm no sociologist, but it's because of an environment. So you have the many accidents on the road, killing people. We have this recent incident with the security guard we spoke about, collect AR rifle, go and shoot and kill the young lady. You have all of these incidents. Look at them carefully and tell me, because it's coming back to this shooting at the security guard, it is lawlessness that allows this company to get that many, or I don't know how many they have, at least 2 AR rifles, and put them in the hands of people who are clearly not trained. The man who did the shooting, not trained, because when the weapon encountered a stoppage, he don't know how to remedy the stoppage. So obviously it's a lack of training. He takes it to another guard. The other guard leaves his weapon in sight with this man, left his gun in the shop. Understand what's going on here? He left his gun, take this gun to say he's going to clear. He left the firearm, AR rifle with which he was armed. There's lawlessness, lack of training. That is what is going on. Now, we wait to see what action will be taken against this company. We have advised the correct process if you want to deal with them to revoke the license of the state. We advise what should be done. Let's wait and see what they are going to do. And I made this point because a little boy whispered to me that they're going to run out, as they would say, and do the wrong thing and open themselves to all sorts of legal challenges and so on. That is what is going on in this beautiful land called Guyana that is corrupted by these politicians. Folks, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Thursday's episode, as much as I did. I enjoyed bringing the information to you, and we will continue to bring information to you. As I've said, today was necessary because we missed Monday and things were piling up. Things were piling up, and we don't want to. We don't want them to lose their luster. We don't want things to get too old and then the shine gone from it. No, we want to bring you it when it's fresh in our minds. We want to bring you it live and direct, as fresh as is possible. So I hope you all enjoy, even though you didn't give me as many thumbs up as I had looked for. In closing, I want to tell you, go now, subscribe to, let me say this. Maybe I'll get to the stage where I'll call out your name, Because many of the regulars have not subscribed to the channel. Many of the regular students have not liked the page, the Speaking Out page on Facebook. When I look at the analytics, I can see that. So please, before you go off now, go and do that. And then we're going to be happy that you are making your contribution towards making this program more popular. I mean, the program yesterday, in the first 24 hours, has had a record number of viewers. We have never had that many viewers within 24 hours. And therefore, we thank all those who have been viewing. We thank all of you students who come live, and we will continue to be here. Now, next Monday is Pagwa Day, a public holiday in Guyana. And therefore, we are wondering if we should really come and spoil your Pagwa celebration by saying we're going to have classes on Monday. We want a feedback from you. Your feedback will determine whether we're going to come out on Monday, public holiday in Guyana. We are aware that our viewership is not only in Guyana, our viewership is in North America, is in Europe, in the Caribbean, and elsewhere. But we want to hear from you whether you think we should come out on Monday. As somebody said, Marlene said, yes, we must come out. Everybody's saying, yes, we must come out. So I'm looking for a negative now. Somebody said no. Now somebody sorry for you. And tell me, let me go and play with little Pagwana. Somebody, please. Tell me, somebody praying and ask that. Everybody's saying yes. Everybody's saying yes. So the response is an overwhelming yes, that we must come out. But we only coming out if when I go on do the analytics and I see that you guys have subscribed to the YouTube channel. I don't need to ransom, but I tell you, I need my pound of flesh. I'm like, who was it, Shylock? Yeah, Portia faces like Portia. I can't remember the thing now. I left school long. Shakespeare, Portia, Shylock. I need my pound of flesh. So go and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Go and like the channel on Facebook. I will be able to see the analytics and determine whether we're coming out Monday or not. So let me say this. We coming Monday. Let me take away the suspense. Monday, God spare life. We have to always put that first. If the Father allows, we are going to be here on Monday with the Monday's episode. Holiday or no holiday, we must have class. Holiday or no holiday, we're going to have classes on Monday. So stay well. Avoid all of these controversies. You know, we are on social media, and we might come under the view of the squatter as, what you call it, social media influencers. So we got to be careful. We got to be careful. So, folks, stay well, and see you on Monday. Thanks.